Hello folks, how are we all doing? Okay, so this is I've got quite a few videos that I need to try and catch up on today. So basically, as you've probably seen, I'm kind of trying to make myself a Dreamcast arcade machine. So this is my test board which I made. It's just got a pretty cheap micro switch with 6 buttons and a 7th, including the start button. So this was a MadKatz controller. When I started looking into this, I found out the MadKatz ones were some of the easiest ones to modify, and they weren't wrong. They weren't wrong at all. So when you open up the controller, it's nicely. I hope you can see this. I need a better camera. All the switches are nicely set up, and on the most part, they give us places where we can solder in through. So it's just a case of turning round and we can just tap straight onto those tracks. A few of them have had to kind of been surface mounted because obviously on the other end we've got kind of diode connections, so I didn't really have anywhere to push into. Only a couple of, say, required surface mounting. If you're ever going to try and do one of these, you've got kind of the start button and your 4 D-pads. They all share a common ground there in the centre. When you break out into these, they're split up into sets of 3. So you've got X and Y. Is that the right way around on this? I can't remember now. I'm trying to remember which way around the buttons were. But either way, you've got kind of your shoulder buttons either top or bottom. And they're kind of done in groups of 3. So if I remember rightly, those 3 are chained together with a ground that goes through the middle. And then these 3 were chained together and their ground point, which if I look carefully, yeah, their ground point came through somewhere down underneath here. And obviously that allowed me to go through the back. So you've got 3 grounds. Like I say, they cover different groups. I don't have my Dreamcast set up. I kind of did, but I don't have much desk space, so I've chucked things in front of it. But when I got this pad, I only paid a couple of pounds for it. One of the shoulder buttons was already broken, so that's in a permanent on state, and that's off this purple. So it's these top 2 that are the top ones. I know there's a problem with the purple on this. It's permanently on, but it doesn't affect the gameplay too much. And obviously I've done nothing with the analog stick. That's just left as it is. And then underneath, just to accommodate for the separate earths, I had to do a couple of modifications underneath here. So there's a couple of splits where originally I'd chained all my grounds together, but I've had to break them up. So there is still, in theory, there's enough for me to break this out into a full set of grounds all chained together underneath, but I don't actually need to. I didn't colour match my wires very well either, but like I say, this is just sort of a test, and this works absolutely fine. My 4-year-old son absolutely kicked my ass on Street Fighter, so yeah, it works perfectly fine. I'm quite embarrassed. I wanted to build this because I used to love playing Street Fighter when I was a kid in the arcade at the social club we went to at the weekend. I used to stay on for quite a few fights, and then my 4-year-old son, who's never played an arcade machine before, kicked my ass. So yeah. So there we go. So like I say, this is pretty much how simple it is. I did notice this model was a little bit different from some others that I picked up, that I've seen. It kind of came in a casing that looked like this, so it looked fairly like the ones that you see a lot of other people talking about. Except when I opened it up and I looked at the board on the inside, it did seem to be laid out a little bit differently. So the instructions that I originally had didn't really work, and I was getting some weirdness where to be honest, I was sharing the ground with the buttons over here. So buttons were corresponding to directions on the D-pad. When I pressed things, it was a bit confusing. One other thing I haven't done anything with is I've done nothing with the turbo button. The board had a little bit of damage on it. When I got it, the resistor there seems to be a little bit burnt out, but it still seems to be handling fine. So I'm going to pick up a couple more of these
and some slightly better. These buttons are shit, to be honest. Get some slightly better buttons, and these zippy sticks aren't bad. They seem okay. I don't think I'm quite going to go for the more expensive ones yet, but when I start building out my cabinet, I'm definitely going to spend a little bit more money on the buttons, because these are pretty shoddy. But I'll be honest, it was the cheapest ones I could get. It's more just for a test suite. In the bucket below, if anyone else is going to have a go at making a Dreamcast arcade machine, I'll put a link to an ISO. That's really good as kind of a pad tester, a control pad tester. Really simple. Whatever you press shows up on the screen, but it makes debugging any issues that you might have while wiring your button a lot easier. So thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you on another video. You never know, I might do another one today. It's the joys of when you start. I've got no content and I need to do content, and I've been working on some of these projects already. So at some point I need to talk about my Amiga and unfortunately what happened to my external floppy drive. But anyway, that's it for this one, and I'll speak to you all soon.